Warning, this video will contain spoilers for The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 8, the mid-season finale, Heart's Still Beating, so do be cautious as you go ahead and watch this video. What is going on, everyone? This is NinjaGeek here, and we have a lot to cover in this amazing episode of The Walking Dead. Very long, very interesting, and I want to get started off with the before the fact of the intro actually coming on, where Maggie is talking to Gregory, and that whole scene, actually the only scene within the episode where Gregory was in it. And we see Maggie kind of taking more of a control, and not only do we see that in her communication and her dialogue with Gregory, but the fact that Maggie is standing at a higher position than Gregory is, looking down over him, and you know, judging from her and what she's been through in the past and what Gregory has been through in the past, and the fact that we found out that Gregory was actually going to give them up, we know that, and they even discussed it within this episode, that people from the hilltop are very happy that Maggie ended up saving them for what she did, and they want her to become the new leader of Hilltop. So I think that all evidence points to the fact that Maggie, this might happen, but then again, there are events at the end of the episode, which of course we're going to get to, that describe other means and other situations as well, but Maggie could very well become a leader of the Hilltop, and it'd be very interesting if she did, because now, obviously she was a part of Alexandria, but maybe she won't go back. Maybe she'll be a part of the Hilltop now, at least till they try and fight Negan off, and she will protect the Hilltop's people while Rick defends Alexandria, and I think that would be a very interesting topic to discuss and to go into moving on within the next, going on into the mid-season of Season 7. So in the last episode, we find out that Rick and Aaron went to go secure stuff for Negan, and he's spending a lot of time doing it because Rick and we find out that Aaron both firmly believe that they have to do what it takes to survive, and Aaron goes on to even state that as long as his heart is still beating, he'll do whatever it takes, whatever he has to do to at least live. Even after he gets beaten up later on in the episode, I'll touch upon that when we get there, but it's still evident that Aaron is with Rick all the way. But then in this final scene, we get to see a very mysterious man just standing there watching them as they take the stuff. Now, perhaps this man could have been that's standing there just looking at them leaving. He could have been the person that owns the stuff. But then again, if he did, why would he just let them take his own stuff? I mean, maybe it's some sort of a trap or something. That could be, but that's really the only possibility that we have. We don't know anything about this man, and we actually see him later on at the very, very, very end of the episode, so it's interesting. Indeed. So Sasha ends up lying to Maggie about the location of Jesus and where he went, because she doesn't want him to know, or she doesn't want Maggie to know anything about where Jesus went, for the fact that if she does, perhaps Maggie could take matters into her own hands and try and do things herself, which could be a possibility. But Enid sees this, that Sasha has lied, and she basically confronts her about it after Maggie leaves and says, why are you lying to Maggie? Everyone wants to kill Negan, so I think that it's like fine. But then it's weird, because in saying that Sasha is lying, it's also pretty much saying that Enid's lying too, because she knows that Carl went to do, not really do the same exact thing as Jesus. She doesn't know what Jesus was sent out to do, but she does know where Carl went and what he was planning on doing, and she doesn't tell any of that to Sasha. So it's like complaining about a secret, but you're also holding a much deeper secret indeed. So it's a little bit interesting at that point. So here we see Rosita again, really contemplating her own life and what she wants to do, and so on and so forth going forward. But Father Gabriel, I think he really tried to send a message to her that by killing Negan, and potentially killing herself as well, it doesn't really solve anything, because yes, although Negan may be dead, there is going to be much worse of a consequence for that happening, and Father Gabriel just says to wait it out and wait for the right moment to strike, because even he knows that it's pretty much inevitable that they're probably going to have some sort of a fight, some sort of a war, some sort of an argument. And Rosita, I think she wants to believe that, but like I mentioned in previous episodes that I've covered, I don't think Rosita is strong enough to be able to hold back, even with the bullet that she has that Eugene made for. I don't think she's strong enough to hold that back, even though times have gotten to be worse. she is just a mess at this point, and I think she's still a mess and is still even trying to recover from what happened in the Season 7 premiere. That she definitely does show this later on in the episode, but Father Gabriel plays a very important part here in trying to show Rosita, trying to lead the viewer as well into a different light to basically show us that Rosita can turn into somebody else, trying to get away of the revenge mentality. So after all this time, we actually get to see Carol, and pretty much what she's been up to is, well, nothing. She's been alone for a very long time now. She doesn't want anything to do with the kingdom. She doesn't want anything to do with Morgan. And Morgan actually pays her a visit, and Carol invites him in. And then someone from the kingdom actually pays her a visit at the same time, and he wants to talk to them about something very, very important that's been going on with King Ezekiel and the whole Saviors. Now, he basically states that the Saviors are really, really bad, and they want to attack first before something happens to the kingdom where the Saviors end up attacking them first. The kingdom wants to be the first ones to attack them. Now, at first, when we first saw that, I was like, well, maybe they should wait a little bit. Don't do anything until get Alexandria in there, get the hilltop in there. But then we end up finding more information about that after. But what I actually really find interesting about this one part is the fact that the difference between Morgan and Carol have been significant since the whole beginning of the show, right? Since Season 1, Morgan has been all about surviving, especially in Season 3. He was a massive killer, and then we've seen over the progression into Season 5 and leading up to when he finds Rick, how he's become more of a peaceful man, and he knows that he doesn't need to kill anymore to survive, that he wants to make peace with whoever he can. And Carol, I think, wants to do the same. That's why she wants to get away from the people that she's been with for so long. She wants to start a new life, be all alone, and seeing them together with pretty much the same beliefs in the same room, while someone from the kingdom is talking to them about starting an entire war, is really insane, because both of them actually come back and say, well, Carol, first of all, says she wants nothing to do with that, and she doesn't want to see anybody from the kingdom again, and Morgan doesn't want anything to do with that because he feels as though, why start a war with somebody that hasn't done anything. However, I would like to point out and make a difference that it could be a posable question. What if Morgan and Carol knew about what happened to Abraham and Glenn, or what has happened to the people that have died in this episode? What if they both found out about that? Because at this point, I don't think they know. Well, Carol obviously doesn't know. Maybe Morgan has made some visits back to Alexandria. I doubt it. There's no record of that, but obviously they are sheltered in. They have no idea of what even happened in the Season 7 premiere. What if they knew? Would they then want to attack? I feel Morgan would. I feel Carol, though, would still kind of want out of it, because she completely wants us. She doesn't want to know Rick. She doesn't want to know anybody at all. She just wants to be by herself. But I would feel Morgan would want to definitely attack after what has happened and coming to the realization. But at this point, they have no clue, so they turn down what they're going to do to try and convince King Ezekiel. So have you ever met that person that just really bugs you about everything wrong that you've done in your past and doesn't let anything go, and basically keeps bringing up moments like that? Whenever something bad happens or continues to happen, they always bring up that one bad moment that happens, and that is pretty much Spencer, what we have here in the show. I like him as a character, I guess, but he really is just annoying in that sense, because, and it's really confusing to find out what he's trying to do officially, because he actually tries to greet Negan, right? Negan is at Alexandria, and he tries to officially greet him, like he's never seen him before. He wants to make an official greeting, and it's like, okay, we get it, you want to be nice, be all buddy-buddy, but what the hell are you trying to do? This is Negan we're talking about here, and he doesn't practically even know you. You're really gonna step up to him and try and trust him? It just didn't seem like a good idea, and we all obviously know from the past that Spencer wants to become the leader of Alexandria because he doesn't think that Rick is fit enough to be leader, and his mother was a better leader than Rick was before he came, and Spencer feels a lot of regret for inviting Rick into the group, especially since Deanna died. And I think that he wants to take that upon himself to try and get in contact with Negan, and obviously he does it to make Negan do Spencer's dirty work, but we will touch upon that actually soon, because then it cuts to Daryl actually escaping the sanctuary, which is a huge moment since he's been trapped in there since the season 7 premiere, and he actually makes an escape, and he brutally murders Fat Joe, who is outside and not really keeping guard. Fat Joe is gonna let him go, but Daryl doesn't want anything to do about that, and that's pretty understandable since he's been locked away in there for weeks and weeks and weeks, listening to Easy Street over and over again and eating pretty much nothing good. So I think Daryl has an excuse to do that, to try and at least get the hell away from the sanctuary. When Aaron and Rick finally arrive back at Alexandria, they are greeted with none other than the Saviors, who were there since Negan was there, and pretty much waiting for their arrival of shipment or shit to come to Negan, since Rick did say he was going out. And in that stuff that they found, there was obviously a note left there by the previous owner when they found it, that basically told them that they won, but they still lost, and the Saviors took that as if they wrote that themselves, which obviously it wasn't. The note was already there in the stuff that they took, and Aaron knew about it. Rick and Aaron knew about it when they picked up the note. They really should have just tossed the note. I don't know why they took the note with them, but for that, even though the note was not even directed towards the Saviors, Aaron still gets the blame for it. He still gets beat up for it, and after he gets brutally beaten up, he says, he goes to Rick after Rick tries to pick him up and lead him towards where Negan is. He says, "My heart is still beating, right?" And I really like that, because earlier on in the episode, he was talking about whatever keeps us alive, whatever makes my heart still beat is what I will do. And after he's taken such abuse, he still is coming out and still is optimistic about what will happen in the future, which I really enjoy. Aaron has been a really good character ever since we met him, and I think that I really hope that they don't kill him off at least really soon. Obviously, he's not a major cast member, like comparing him to Rick, but I do love Aaron, and I've kind of been missing him in a lot of the recent episodes. I wish they would include him more, but this episode really did include Aaron a lot more, which I was very happy about. So I just have to come out here and say it, that Spencer really did get the best of him. Spencer was really asking for this to happen. He pretty much walked up to Negan and said, "Would you just kill me, please? Just end my suffering," because that's pretty much exactly what he did. If you didn't know and didn't understand the entire story, that was pretty simplistic. Let me lay it out for you. Spencer came to Negan in good hopes, good terms, trying to make really good friends with him, but ultimately he came to Negan because he knows that Rick is not fit for running the group at Alexandria, and in his own mind, I personally think that Rick is perfectly fine, that Spencer would be a terrible leader of Alexandria, but in Spencer's defense, in his mind, he believes not so much, so he pretty much wants Negan to do the dirty work and to make Spencer the leader of Alexandria, but Negan takes it in a different way and sees it as Negan doing the dirty work for Spencer, and if Spencer really wanted to take leadership of Alexandria, that really has none of Negan's business, and Negan says, well, if you really wanted to do it, why don't you just kill Rick yourself? That's because you have no guts. And then Negan shows Spencer where his guts are. Oh, they were inside of you the entire time, after he stabbed him brutally and ended up killing Spencer. And I really don't feel sorry for Spencer at all, because he wasn't a character that was really liked in my own personal view and opinion. I felt like he always went against everything and everything that Rick stood for, obviously. And having him in there, even moving on forward, I don't think he would be totally on board with what Rick is doing, even if he wanted to try and destroy Negan in his state now. I don't even know if he would be fully aboard with that, because he still does not like Rick for basically pretty much killing his mother, even though he didn't really kill his mother. That just happened, but Spencer does not believe that. So, in all honesty, I think that it's best if Spencer was not here anymore. So Negan, I don't know if he did us a favor or did Rick a favor by killing him, but in my eyes, as a viewer, I think that he really did him a favor. But anyways, moving on from that, Negan asks everyone who is going to clean the mess up. Nobody answers for a pretty hesitant long while until Rosita finally answers in a very, very negative light by pulling out her gun and firing off the one round that Eugene made for her in a very fast action, a very quick draw. She didn't like pull it out, aim it at him, and then shoot. She pretty much whipped the thing out and shot it without even aiming, and it was a pretty steady shot, to be honest, after we found out that she misses Negan and hits Lucille, and Lucille pretty much blocked the shot from killing Negan. Now, in that scenario, if she did kill Negan, Rosita probably pretty much would have been dead in there, but since she missed it, Negan gets extremely pissed off that somebody pretty much tried to kill him, hit Lucille so that, Lucille just pretty much took a bullet for Negan. I think that he should be happy that he is still alive, but at the same time, Lucille now has a giant, she's ruined in terms of that, and he wants to know who made the bullet for Rosita to shoot off, and when Rosita lies, that gets somebody else killed, and Olivia ends up taking the shot for Rosita, when eventually, obviously, Rosita wants to be dead. She wants to be dead for those reasons, but she's still alive, and they end up killing somebody else, Olivia, who has been kind of a growing side cast member into the show, and I think that Olivia's death was even more significant than Spencer's, because Olivia did nothing wrong, and she was pretty much fine by my standards, and it was sad to see her go, but Rosita really doesn't get at all, she's not happy at all with what happens, because not only did she get somebody else killed, but she didn't do anything, and she just kind of made it worse for Eugene now, because she just fired off the round, and Negan ended up taking Eugene back with them as part, and who knows, obviously we'll talk, I guess, more about the aftermath of what they're going to do with Eugene at the end of the episode. But when Rick shows up with Aaron, and he finds this mess that Spencer is just dead on the ground, and just he just is experiencing what just happened, and Negan's trying to explain to him how Carl came into his group, gunned down 2 of his men, so he kindly brought him back here and even fed him spaghetti. Then he took out one of his own men that was trying to pretty much make himself leader. Negan did do some stuff for Rick, and he wants a thank you in return, but Rick just tells him that his stuff is at the front gate, and that he should leave, and that's obviously when he takes Eugene, but Negan, it's like half and half, right? Like, half of you, if you were Rick, you obviously do not like this at all, he just came in and gunned down your men, but at the same time, he brought Carl back. He didn't kill Carl, which he could have very well done for killing his own men. He fed Carl, and he killed Spencer, which I honestly think was a good thing, because Spencer could have caused some trouble in the future, and he wasn't that big of a main cast member of the story anyways. And so, some people really like Spencer, probably, but from my own eyes, he was just kind of like that annoying person, like I mentioned, that he just doesn't get out of your hair about stupid things, and I think that he really could have caused some problems in the future, but you could definitely see it on Rick's face after Negan leaves, that what he has to deal with, and even still, the fact that he's really not willing to change up his ways. Now, maybe this could have changed him for the future, as we're going to get into with Michonne in a second, but as of this point, he's just pretty much lost lots of stuff, and he just continues to lose lots and lots of stuff, and there's really, and that really made him realize that at this point, there's nothing else he can do but to fight it off, because if he just keeps letting this happen, more and more people are going to die, and he knows that himself. So it's going to be interesting to see moving forward what ends up happening with that. But now we're at the end of the episode, and I think that this is personally one of the best episodes of The Walking Dead in general. Of Season 7, it's pretty much a tie between the premiere episode and the mid-season, which is this episode. The editing at the end, from the pure hope that Michonne actually talked Rick into fighting off the Saviors, and Rick's hopefulness, his engagement, trying to lure everyone of Alexandria and of the hilltop, as we get into, to try and potentially fight off these saviors. Not even potentially, like he has the intention of doing so. And it's really weird to see him do this now, because since the premiere episode, he's pretty much been broken and has been following Negan's rules ever since, and so has everyone else. But now it's time to shape up and be the sheriff that he once was, and to try and combat the saviors after doing all these things to them, after pretty much killing, well, obviously they killed Abraham, they killed Glenn, now they killed Spencer and Olivia and harmed other people within the group, and now it's time for a change. And so Rick shows up at the hilltop with obviously Michonne and and the feel that you get when they show up for seeing Maggie and Rick for the first time, for seeing Daryl come out with Jesus, and then seeing Daryl and Rick hug for the first time. And the thing that is really a huge symbol here is the python, because obviously, they took his python, and the Negan and the Saviors took his python, and Daryl stole it back, handed it to Rick, and just the shot of looking downward up onto the python really looked up. It was like a signal looking up for hope for the group as they continue on. And since that python has been with us ever since the first episode of season 1, and it has still been just the feeling that you get when you see it. It just the power that the python itself harnesses is enough to show you that there is still hope for this group, that they can potentially defeat Negan with the help of others. Of course, they're probably obviously not going to do it themselves, but it just gives a lot of hope, especially with the way that it was edited, where it cut from different people's faces looking directly at each other, staring in hopefulness with the background music that was playing. Very effective and emotional for showing that type of moment, and showing that the how it all comes together, and showing them all walking into the hilltop house at the end, kind of grouping up and forming up together, pretty much ending off the episode. And I really like that they didn't leave us off with a cliffhanger, because that would have been bad. But they left us off not only with a finishing ending, but a very, very well done finishing ending. So bravo to the team over there that did work on this episode. Now, 3 things before we end off this episode. Obviously, since this is a mid-season, we need to recap and think about what's going to happen in the future. So, Daryl, obviously, we know, has escaped from the Savior outpost and killing one of the Saviors, stealing a bike and Rick's python. So now what's going to happen when Negan goes back to the sanctuary and Daryl is not there anymore? Is something going to potentially happen with the people that were working there? Because they didn't provide enough security to just let Daryl escape. Something could happen to his own men, right? But in other terms, Negan could come back and say, we need to find Daryl, and somebody's going to give him up, and someone could potentially die because of that, of Daryl escaping, which could also be a bad thing. But also, they took Eugene, and I feel that personally, Negan will make Eugene make bullets for the Saviors, because that, obviously, he knows how to do it. And I think that Negan is impressed when he sees the round actually work, the bullet that actually was fired to him, and he sees it work. I don't think that he wanted to kill someone. He wanted to know who made it, because he wants to have them and capture them so that he can make more bullets for Negan. So gearing up for the rest of Season 7, we see how Rick is trying to convince King Ezekiel to fight alongside Alexandria and the Hilltop to fight off the Saviors, and I think that King Ezekiel will obviously agree with this, since now they have a full armed force, which is Alexandria and the Hilltop, and this could potentially become one of the most intense seasons, second half of the seasons of The Walking Dead so far to date. But not only do we get to see that, we get to see the preview, which is pretty much them walking out, probably the first scene of the mid-season, the second half of the mid-season of Season 7, where they're walking out and they are going to visit the kingdom, because Jesus points out that he stole one of the Savior's walkies, so they can kind of get behind their lines, know what they're doing, hopefully without being spotted, but they have that option now, and Jesus wants to introduce them to the kingdom, so we're going to be seeing that next time on the show. And finally, the last thing that we see before it cut off the screen was the mysterious man spying on the people from Alexandria with binoculars and then walking towards, or running towards, in other words, towards Alexandria, and then it just cuts out. Now, this is the mysterious man that we've seen before, seeing Rick and Aaron taking stuff and putting it away. Now, because of this, I feel that he wasn't the one that actually owned that stuff, but I don't feel that he is a villain or someone that's going to cause harm. I actually think that he's going to show up at Alexandria and Rick is going to do something with him, hopefully something good, and I don't think that he's going to do anything bad back. He wants to maybe fight or find his way, look for something. We really don't know anything about this mysterious man, but he is very, very interesting in playing a key role within this show coming forward, because he's such a little character, such a minor character, where he was only in 2 scenes, 2 shots, or 2 or 3 shots, but because he is such a mystery and we have no idea who this is, it really just makes you wonder, is this little character going to bring up something that's going to effectively change the whole show as an entirety? We will have to see coming up. And speaking of coming up, the next time that The Walking Dead comes on will be February 12th, so the next reviewing will be on February 13th, which of course is a Monday. So hope you did enjoy this very long review of The Walking Dead. I will see you when we come back with the mid-season of Season 7, and that is pretty much it for this episode. So if you did enjoy, you know what to do. I'll catch you on the next one. This is NinjaGeek. I'm out, and peace.